How we doing, everybody? Schuyler Callihan here with another episode of Between the Ears. It's been a minute since we did one. We've missed the last two post-game shows. If you're wondering why, well, I've been sick, and I'm a massive baby. Whenever I get a cold, I feel like the world's coming to an end. I complain to my wife all the time. I'll be 100% honest with that. So pain I can deal with. Being sick, that's my thing. I can't get over it. So for whatever reason, I don't like it. I like to sit there and lay in bed. But I have watched the games and I've been obviously writing, so I still do some things, but I just haven't been able to get on here and talk it out. So now I'll go ahead and do that. So last three games, Arizona State, Kansas State, and then of course last night against Houston. Just some of the same things continue to reoccur in these losses, whether it be rebounding, poor shooting, a bad shot selection, poor starts to the games. That's kind of been the theme here in this three-game losing streak. And it is concerning. But what I saw last night in the second half against Houston was a team that started to figure some things out again. They kind of refound their confidence, refound their identity. And to me, that is what I kind of pulled from that game or extracted from that game. It wasn't the fact that they got down 20 points and looked like they're about to get blown out again. It's not, oh no, this is a third straight loss. This was a really good basketball team you just played, potentially a Final Four caliber team. So, yes, it's disappointing to be on a three-game losing streak, but guess what? It's not the first time it's happened in Big 12 conference play, and it's not going to be the last. Every team in this league is going to hit some sort of a wall in Big 12 play. It's just what it is. Houston themselves, they're riding perfect right now. They're unblemished in the Big 12. That's not going to go all the way to the end. They're not going to go 20-0. I'd be willing to put all the money in the world on that. They're going to drop a couple of games that they probably shouldn't drop. They may even go in a little bit of a stretch where they maybe say to lose 3 out of 5 games or to lose 4 out of 6. It's going to happen to every team. It's happened to the best teams in Big 12. You go back to the years where Kansas was super dominant. They dropped a couple of games they probably shouldn't have dropped. It's just life in this league. So while I'm not to the point of hitting the panic button just yet, I think you can have it hovering, right? You can have that hand hovering over the panic button because there are some things to be concerned about. You're getting deeper into the schedule. You don't have Tucker DeVries back. Probably not going to get him back this year. Jaden Stone, probably the same thing. So you're not having anybody else or having more help walk through that door anytime soon. How do you get to the end of the finish line where you're not hobbling, you're not crawling on all fours to get there. You're trying to stay alive in this thing to the point where you feel good about your chances of getting an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament. The one thing that I've continued to preach over these last three games is the defense has to be there first and foremost. They don't play good defense, they're not going to have a chance. That's just the way it is. When you're shorthanded as you are, you have to be able to hang your hat on the defensive end of the floor. Darren's talked about it, the players have talked about it. It's well understood. But offensively, because you don't have that secondary three-level score, you've got to be able to find a way to be elite at one avenue of scoring, whether that's fast break points, points off turnovers, getting to the free throw line a bunch, whether that's hitting an absurd amount of three-point shots. You have got to find one of those avenues and become elite at it. And I don't mean just good. I mean, you have to become elite if you really want to be a true contender in this league. You don't have to be an elite in one of them to just get to the NCAA tournament. But if you want to be somebody that makes a legitimate run in the Big 12 tournament and then in March Madness, you got to be elite in one of those areas. To me, the one that probably sticks out as being the easiest. Oh man, I would probably say points off of turnovers, just because the 3-point shooting has not been there, at least as of late. The last three games combined, folks, wait for this: 12 for 68 from 3-point land. I'm pretty sure I could go out there and go 12 of 68. Now, I'm not saying with people guarding me. I'm just saying just take me to the blacktop. I can go probably 12 for 68 just by myself. So I understand there's a different degree of difficulty when you got guys guarding you, but still, 12 of 68, 17%, that's not going to get the job done. So it's probably not where it's going to come from. Points in transition or fast break points, however you want to break it down. Again, probably not going to happen because this team likes to play at a slower tempo. They don't want to play at a fast pace. That's not what they're geared to do. So that's probably not going to happen. Getting to the free throw line a bunch. While I do believe this team probably could, it's just not what they've been able to do. They've struggled to get to the line certain nights. And I think most nights, you're going to see them get there between, 12 and 14 times a game. It's just not something that they've been really exceptional at. They haven't been good at putting pressure on the rim. They haven't finished around the rim well enough. And the guys that typically do get fouled haven't really shot it well from the charity stripe. So I don't think that's where it's going to come from either. So to me, it's got to happen off of turnovers. This defense, when it plays really well, can be one of the better defenses in all of college basketball. We saw it in the second half of last night's game against Houston. It's there. It's in their DNA. It is possible to happen. But they've got to be able to take advantage of those turnovers, flip them into points, especially when you're not shooting the ball that well, or at least in this little streak that they're or this drought that they're in, especially from three. You've got to find ways to make up for it. Where do you find your points? So to me, that's where it's going to have to come, creating points off of turnovers. And then really the only other thing that I wanted to talk about was how the perception of this season is kind of changing from the fans' perspective. Look, I get it. It's disappointing. It's frustrating as all hell to lose three straight games, especially two of them to teams that you could probably and probably should beat. But it's year one. If you go and look at the teams that West Virginia has beaten, whether that's Gonzaga, Kansas, Iowa State, Arizona, for being honest, those teams probably shouldn't have been wins for WVU, right? So where would you be if you didn't have those wins? If those games went the way that they more than likely should have went, you'd be in a much more difficult position. You'd probably be not even on the bubble right now. You'd be on the outside looking in and needing a lot of things to happen to get there, to punch your ticket. So these things are going to happen when you have a short bench, when you have a short rotation, when you have guys logging 35 plus minutes a night like Javon Small continues to do. When you get deeper into the season, this is just the reality of it. Reality sets in, fatigue sets in, and you just don't have the horses to compete every single night for 40 minutes against another Big 12 team and then another one, and then another one. It's that stretch of games where they played, what was it, 4 or 5 games in 9 or 10 days. That's brutal. That's brutal for a 7-man rotation. That's just hard thing. That's just a hard thing to manage. And to get those legs back, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take maybe up until the Big 12 tournament. And who knows if that'll even happen. But my point here is this isn't a team that was ever expected to go and make a deep run in March. They weren't expected to be in the Big 12 contention, title contention. They weren't expected to be a Final Four, Elite Eight type of team. But I think the early success kind of altered or flipped that switch in the brains of fans that hey, this team might be able to do something. Maybe this team is better than we thought. Maybe they are further along than we all expected. But that was kind of a I don't want to say it's fool's gold because that team is there. That the talent that we saw earlier in the year, the potential we saw earlier in the year, it's there. It still exists. There's going to be games where they still find a way to knock off a top 15 or a top 20 team. It's going to happen again. But to do that throughout the entirety of the season and expect that to be where this team should be in the top 3 or 4 of the Big 12, it's just a little unrealistic. But that's all right. It's year one. Like this is how I look at it. The fact that he has been able to drop these little breadcrumb trails of success, right? Doing things that you probably wouldn't think is possible in year one with this roster, to me, only says, well, hell, like, Look what he's going to be able to do when he gets 1, 2, 3 recruiting classes in here, and he's got endless depth. Maybe not endless depth, but he's got at least a 2 deep at every position. Then you will feel like you are more suited to battle every single night in this league. And that's why I think every other coach that comes in here to play West Virginia compliments Darren. They see what he's doing. This is just him scratching the surface. This is not where this team is going to be in a year from now or 2 years from now. This is just the start. This is setting the foundation. And while it's been a tough couple of weeks, you have to look at the bigger picture here. Ren Baker got it right. Darren DeVries is a home run hire. My opinion on that has not changed one bit, and it will not change, regardless of what happens the rest of the season. We have seen what he can do with a team that is very shorthanded, very restricted, and very limited. You give him a team that's got more depth, more scoring options, sky's the limit for this program under Darren DeVries. That's going to do it for me here today on Between the Ears. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button here on our YouTube page at West Virginia on SI. Give us a follow on X at SI_WVU. We'll probably try to get one more episode out before the Sunday game against Cincinnati. But if not, we will have the post-game show for that one to recap the action in the Queen City. Mountaineers, Bearcats tipping off on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you soon. Take care.